welcome to Inside the Dojo. I'm your host, Leilani Dagening, and today I'm here with Master Tuan Lee from Victorville Taekwondo.
Hi.
And today our topic is how other martial arts can benefit from Taekwondo and how Taekwondo can benefit from martial arts. The true styles of cross-training and what that all entails. But before we get into that, I want to get to know you, have the audience get to know you and your Taekwondo journey. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like what age you were when you started, where did you start, how long you trained for before turning into an instructor, and how that went.
Yeah, and I wish you told me these questions before you asked me, because then I could have a more a clean answer. It's like, oh dang, now I have to spit from my brain. Okay, so my martial arts journey. I started when I'm gonna say around 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 years old. My little sister and I, we were playing at a park, honestly just down the street from the dojo here. And we were playing in the park. My mom goes, hey, stay here real fast. I'm going to go get something in the car. You know, she's expected to be gone for a couple of minutes. What's going to happen in a couple of minutes? Nothing. She comes back. She sees that me and my little sister are on the ground crying because we got jumped by a bunch of kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because we're sitting on some swings. Right,
Oh,
we're sitting on the swings of the park.
It's always the swings.
Yeah. Naruto in a swing trauma, right? Yeah. So we're sitting on the swings. Some stupid kids come around and out of all the swings they possibly want, they want our swing. So I'm like, no, you can't have our swings. And then we exchange words. I say stupid stuff. They say stupid stuff. And the age difference between me and my sister is I want to say 5 to 6 years old. So
okay, I was just about to ask that. Yeah.
So I was 10. So she's probably around 5 at that time.
Dang.
So while the guy gets his friends to jump me, his little sister gets her little baby friends to jump my little sister. It's like this story is this is a crazy story, but yeah, bunch of little my little.
It sounds like a superhero upbringing, at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. So my mom comes back, she sees us crying on the ground, beaten to a pulp, and then she's like, that ain't happening. So she, we see a martial arts school down the street a week or two later, and we've always driven by the place but never noticed, but that now is relevant, because now she's looking for something for her kids to learn, and so she brings us in, and I remember walking into this place, and I have never done a sport before up to that point, nothing official. I never joined soccer team or nothing like that. And so when I walked in here, I was like, this place, the instructor that came up, he walks up to greet us, stuff like that. There wasn't any class happening at that time. And I remember walking to the place and I'm like, this place smells weird. It smells weird. It smells like sour. It smells like beer to me, because I'm associating the smells I don't like. I didn't like the smell of alcohol and the sourness of beer and cheese and that kind of thing. So I walk to this place. I'm like, is the instructor drinking? Do they drink on the jobs? No, come to find out, that's just pure sweat and body odor after a really hard workout. And that was my first impression of coming to the dojo. And I've been here ever since. Grew up here as a student and started working here part-time, then full-time. And now, as luck would have it, I'm one of the main masters of the school.
That's awesome.
That's my journey.
Okay. Nice. So this has been your home school since you started?
Absolutely. And although I've trained and still train in other arts, I consider this to be my home. Yeah, my second home, away from home.
Nice. I love that. So how long did it take you from the day you walked in to get your black belt? Do you remember?
I'm gonna give some rough numbers, and probably won't be that far off, but I don't want to say I had a clean journey of I stayed the entire time and all that stuff. I think from white belt to green or blue, I was fairly consistent. Yeah,
okay.
We showed up at least 2, 3, 4 times a week and stuff like that. Stayed on the course around I want to say brown belt. Yeah, the struggle got real. It got really
the burnout.
Real. Yeah, the what I would call burnout, for sure kicked in. And it wasn't I got burnt out and hated the sport. It was more if I could just do a little less. If I could just do a little less. A little less became a lot less. A lot less became once a week. Once a week became once every 2, and then a month. And the next thing you know, 6 to 8 months go by, I don't show up. Even though my parents are still paying tuition.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're still paying tuition, and they're mad at me. They're like, "Dude, we're still paying for this thing. Why aren't you going?" You know, but eventually, I can't tell you if it was they dragged me in or I dragged myself in. It's all blurred to me. Honestly, though, it's probably the parents. My parents probably
Usually,
dragged
yeah.
me in. Yeah. And then so I think my love for Taekwondo grew back when I kind of like found a much more heightened interest in sparring as fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, like whereas before sparring, but before that, but before the burnout, to me it was just like part of the training.
Mhm.
It was something that you do, kind of like playing soccer or whatever.
Yeah.
It's part of the nature of the art. But I think at that like teenager age phase, you're trying to find your way in the world and trying to, for me, as a guy, trying to figure out like my manhood, so to speak, what it means to be a man, and like you have to know how to fight. And so when I kind of went back again and started doing, full contact sparring, then something about it made me realize, like, oh, this is more related to what I'm looking for. I should stop looking at this martial arts as like, something that my parents wanted me to do, right? And something that I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's honestly the thought that I'm just right now kind of, it's coming out of my head as I'm talking to you. I never actually really thought about it. Like what it was like for me to come back. Yeah, I think it became my sport instead of became something that my parents wanted me to do.
Yeah.
That's what like kept me ever since.
No, that's awesome. I think a lot of students struggle with that too. I think my sister's even going through that right now where she feels like we're just dragging her to class but finding out that you want to do it on your own is what keeps students coming back and definitely what started keeping you here to teach and become a master all these years later. But so how old were you when you got your black belt?
Oh shoot. I'm gonna say could be like 15. I want to say 15 or 16. It's a little blurry. I'm gonna say 15 and a half.
Okay.
Let's settle on that number. 15
And then
and a half.
did you start instructing right away or when did that start?
Not right away. I want to say like half a year later. I would say like about half a year later. I was looking for a part-time job, and at that time near the mall here, Barnes and Noble had just opened.
Oh.
Right? And then the Starbucks in there was just opening. So I was throwing my applications everywhere around the mall. Barnes and Noble, Starbucks. I was really crossing my fingers hoping I get that Barnes and Noble / Starbucks job. Right. And then Master Tuan was teaching class one day, and casual conversation, asked kids like, "Hey, what do you do in the summer? What do you do in the summer? What do you do in the summer?" He goes to me, asks me, "Hey, like, what are your plans for summer?" I was like, "Oh, sir, I'm planning to apply for a job at so and so and so." And I think he might have said other things. My brain forgot all of that though, but I do remember him saying, "Come into my office."
Oh, absolutely.
Come into my office.
I can see exactly how he says that too.
Yeah, come to my office. I'm like, am I in trouble? Like, what's going on?
That was the first thought all the time.
Essentially,
what did I do?
Yeah, right. And so essentially, it never occurred to me to be an instructor. Never once that I thought of teaching here. Never once that I thought I would be a fit to teach here, because I was probably one of his most annoying students. I don't know why.
How so?
I think there is something about my brain which is my wife calls it the engineer brain.
Okay.
Right? The engineer brain is somebody that like wants to know how something works, the reason or why it works. If it's logical, I'll do it. If it's not logical, forget about it. Don't even come to me with all that emotion kind of stuff. Right. And so my engineer brain, would tell me like, hey, there is nothing in martial arts that could possibly like scratch that itch for you. Like, I was very interested in how things worked. I was very interested in how things are put together. Like my favorite toys from like, age whatever to even adulthood is like Legos. I love putting stuff together. I sure have a knack for pulling things apart, but I don't know how to put it together. I don't know how things work. And so never in my life did I think martial arts would be the career path. But the science of martial arts, I realize is like, whoa, it's there not only is there logic in this move, but also the wrong way has a logical point. The wrong way, right, might have a logical way about it, and so if anything, really opens my eyes to what, like, how things work, and different ways to look at them. So sorry, I kind of meandered a little bit, but yeah, never thought about being an instructor, like, at all, at all. And he put the idea in my head. And but he told me, it's like, I can't just straight up hire you. You need to be trained. And so at that time, he had opened up something called Gold Team, which I'm sure you remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Gold Team stands for Guidance on Leadership Development. What at that
That's
time?
right.
Yeah, at that time, I looked at it as like, oh, okay, so it's just like ASB, like, like TAs, like teachers assistants, so like kind of a club, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I can't just out of nowhere just pop in and just tell people what to do. There's certain ways that he wants me to communicate with people and interact and explain. You can't just tell people to do something. You explain why something works and things like that. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Come to find out, Gold Team is a lot of it has to do with communication. Right. And communication, as many of us will agree, is like the core, like, component to anything that you can do to become successful. You cannot succeed by yourself. There's no such thing as being successful all by yourself. Like you can't, you name me one person that is like big and famous or well renowned, and I'll tell you, like, like a giant team behind him. Like, I mean, Jesus couldn't even do it alone. He had 12 people.
Absolutely.
So yeah, communication and connecting and fostering a connection with your community. I'm like, wow, I had no idea all of that was part of instructing. I just thought, like, you just show up and yell at people, which for a time that's what I did. Just showed up and yelled at people.
It was effective though. It got us to work.
Abused my power.
It was great.
That's it.
No, I remember when I was a student here, because I remember seeing your generation of black belts get their black belt. Like you, Brandon, Jason were like the three main people that Master Tuan would make do random demos before class in front of the parents. And I think I was probably like a purple belt or an orange belt. And he like made you guys show off. It was the coolest thing. I remember he made Jason do like a 540. And I remember he had you line up all the body shields and do your long side kick.
Get out of my jam.
Yeah.
I was very jam.
That's what I remember.
Just jump over again.
There was like probably like 10 body shields that you would just fly over. And I was one of the orange belts, like, oh my God, this is crazy.
40 pounds lighter.
So like, when the mats were like blue and barely padded, you guys would fly.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool to see you guys do that. And then when you became an instructor, I was like one of my favorite instructors, 100%. And I also really enjoyed how you explained things as opposed to everyone else. I mean, obviously yelled at us, kept the discipline in there, traditional for sure, but you always gave like, a different perspective and a different way to think about things. For instance, like for sparring, you would give like a thought that I just never would have had to counter like a certain way. So it always like helped broaden the way that I thought about things in Taekwondo. And that's one thing I always really appreciated about your classes.
Perfect.
Is that whether like we were learning new physical exercises, I mean, we all know how to do a roundhouse kick, Yeah. But it was just the way you think about things helped a lot as a student.
Yeah. I'm curious though, what I'm sure that the idea of being an instructor through whatever life story came across your lap, but what made you decide to say yes to instructing? Because you and I were coworkers as well. Yeah.
So I remember the phone call I got from Master Tuan to start working here. I was on the bus going home from school, like my freshman year in high school.
Right.
I had turned 14 and a half on the dot because that's the legal age to work in California. And I forgot who was working the office at that time, but they called me and they were like, hey.
Wait, was it 14 and a half?
14 and a half.
No way.
Is like the legal age to work.
Okay.
And my birthday's in May, so it was, 6 months after that.
Right.
I got a call and they were like, hey, Master Tuan just wants to talk to you. I know you haven't been to class in a minute, because I forgot why I stopped taking class for like a couple months. But he's like, oh, Master Tuan just wants to come talk to you. Are you guys able to come into the studio? And I was like, okay, like let me ask my mom, because she has to drop me off. So we come in, and then Master Tuan sits down with me in the office with my mom and talks to us about it. And then ultimately, obviously, my mom asked me that in the car ride home afterwards. And I was like, I'd love to be an instructor. because I had stopped for a couple months and I just missed it. Like, even at that young age, I never had to be dragged to Taekwondo. I was dragging my parents. I never had that burnout that I hear some kids have. And it makes sense. You know, you've trained so many years. You're here all the time, X amount of hours a day. But I loved it. I loved this place. You could not get me out of here. So when I had the opportunity to come back and teach, I was like, instantly, yes. Sign me up.
Right.
So I think it took me a couple days to go get my worker's permit, take it to my school, fill it out, have my mom sign it, and then I was back. And it was cool. But also I think the interest in it wasn't just to come back, but I know how big of an impact all of the instructors or even like leadership members, gold team members had on me as a student and my Taekwondo experience. And that's ultimately what made me love it, you know? And just to be able to do that for other students and create like that fun class, that environment where we learn, we do cool things and we train and get better. I just thought that would be amazing to be that person for somebody else.
Wow.
So it was really cool. I still love it to this day.
That's such a, what do you call it? That's such a higher perspective thinking, way above what I was thinking at the time.
You were like, oh,
I was honestly just like, yeah, man, like I like this thing. I'll just yell at people to do it. I get paid to like, you know, train, it's like, and teach other people to train. That's
getting paid to train though was the selling point.
Essentially,
You're here all the time. I was like, I wanted to be here all the time, and now you're going to pay me to do it.
Yeah.
And obviously, I wasn't paying for classes, so it wasn't coming out of my wallet. I didn't realize how much it was, but
yeah, I know you no longer instructor at this point in your career. I'm one of the weird ones that decided to just like stay forever and permanent. But you now are still practicing Taekwondo. However, I think if I can describe the school that you're currently in your hometown versus where we're at, this school is kind of like a weird hybrid of like old school and some modern like approach to self-defense, so to speak. With your school, I hesitate to say this because I'm not sure how the culture is, but I would say it's a little bit more modern, a little bit closer to the new school style of like Taekwondo art and sparring. So like, what's your thought on that, being the person that's here versus over there? Like, what are you saying that are the differences?
So it's actually pretty cool. I think when I trained old school, it was, you know, Master Tuan walks around, steps on you a couple times, hits you with the bamboo stick, like, let's get going, let's work. Nowadays, obviously it's not like that anymore, but I think the detail in the sport is definitely still there. I think new school is more of less like flashy Taekwondo kicks, you know, like how old school, there was like a lot of different kicks to do, like, you know, 540s or tornado is my ultimate favorite kick for sure, but no one's throwing a tornado kick in a sparring match nowadays, especially on the competitions. It's I don't really know if I like the term point chasing because they go for like the quick points, but also it is you win the round with the most points. But it is really like straight to the point, and there's like different aspects to it. So my sister's on the competition team. She's 10. She fights in the, I think now the youth division she fights as a red belt. And there's this thing that the fighters do. I think it looks so cool, where you like pick your foot up and you inch forward with a cut kick, but then you'll keep your foot up and like round kick, hook kick to the head, and then go back to a round kick. And that's 3 head points, like right there, without even putting your foot down. It's like a different level of difficulty, because back in the day, to get crazy points, I remember, I didn't compete back in the day, but I remember hearing Imari, she went to a competition and did like 6 backspin kicks to the head. Just, you know, just to go for it.
That sounds on brand for her. That's for sure.
Brand.
Shout out to Imari. Yeah.
No, she was one of my idols growing up too. I can't wait to get into that. But I think there's just different aspects to it. But as someone who did both, I learned a lot from both. And I think that's what makes really, really great, well-rounded instructors, because you can kind of see the disconnect from some of the kids, where nowadays if I'm helping out a student, which I don't instruct, but I do kind of give my pointers to some of the kids I talk to. They like, you could tell they want to do like a back kick or like a punti back kick for a counter, but they don't know. They're like, oh, it's too flashy. I don't know. Am I going to get away with this? And I'm like, well, you can. You just have to be really quick, because no one nowadays is doing that. They're not like, and if they catch you in that spin, you're kind of, you know,
Right.
I think a great story to sum this up, I don't know if you remember this, but it was when I was instructing, probably towards the end of my days here, there was a sparring class that I was like helping out and I wasn't sparring in it. One of the students, I forget their name, he was a green belt at the time. He was probably like 15 and he was like really flashy about a lot of stuff. He was good, don't get me wrong, but just really, really flashy with his stuff. So he was messing with one of the other kids in the other room, getting their gear on, ready to go, and he kept hitting like a whole bunch of spins. Like he would do a tornado kick and then spin out of it, and then do a back kick and then spin out of it.
Right.
And you were like, here's why you can't do that in a real match. And I knew something was coming, so I backed up and I was like, ooh. So you got ready. You're like, yeah, just do that over here. And you had no gear on. He was fully geared on. So he tries to land this tornado kick on you, and you hit him with the most solid back kick, and he flew. And it was so funny. He was okay.
That sounds like something I would do. Not gonna lie.
I remember it so clear, and I was dying. He did not do any spins that class, by the way.
Yeah. I took that. That's a lesson I took straight out of Master Tuan's playbook. I remember being a green belt. Going through yeah. And I had this like habit of like running at people's chest first before I throw a kick or a punch at them. Right? So Master Tuan goes demonstrating for the class. Like, you know, I maybe the topic was telegraphing. Maybe the topic was like waiting for a chance to counter. I had no idea what it was. All I remember was he said, "Hey, if you run at me and you can hit me, I'll give you like, I don't know, let's call it $100."
Yeah.
It was like some incentive. I'm like, really? All right, cool. So I'm like, bet. I ran straight at him. Next thing you know, I remember looking up at the ceiling. Right? He all he did was stick his foot up. He just did a solid push kick on me. Maybe he didn't even do a push kick. Maybe he just stuck his leg.
Just stuck his leg out.
I ran like belly first into that thing, and I remember going. Like,
no, the wind.
That one of the first times I ever got like the air kicked out of me. It's probably by Master Tuan or anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would never forget that lesson. It's like, you can call that child abuse, or you know, you can call that, you know, a realistic training.
Solid lesson.
But it was like it was the difference. But it was like maybe the first of many cascading lessons of a sportive approach versus a more self-defense approach versus something where this is what I aspire to be, is somewhere in the middle where this technique can work in both a sportive or a more self-defense street fight kind of approach. Right. I think the topic of like old school versus new school, I think the answer depends on what era you started taekwondo. Right.
Very true.
I started in, I want to say like between 1999/2000. I think that will be where I pinpoint my time. Right. And I think at that time it would be like, I would be coming to the end of old school, what people refer to as old school. The end of old school, the transition limbo period into new school.
Okay.
So I think during the time that I was coming up, those guys right there, they were already considering that the new school, right?
I can see that.
Yeah, and because of that, okay, so like I grew up in my head, old school is 1 point to the body, 2 points to the head.
Oh wow, yeah.
1 point to the body, 2 points to the head. Call it a day, right? Don't even worry about spinning kicks and gives you this many points, that many points. I'm not even going to keep track of that. Like that to me is like I would attribute that to new school. Old school is 1 point to the body, 1 point to the 2 points to the head.
That's crazy.
but like probably Master Tuan, old school for Master Tuan would be like, old school would be knockout. You're just knocking people out.
Oh yeah, that's disqualified nowadays.
Just knock people out. Taekwondo was a knockout sport. At a certain point. And I think we're talking about like maybe in the current interpretation of old school versus new school. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see that. The challenge for me as a master is I have to keep that in mind. There's the old school approach of what people want Taekwondo to be. Mm-hmm. And then there's the new school approach of what Taekwondo currently is in a sportive sense. So now our school, maybe Master Tuan can phrase it better. Maybe he has a more articulate way to put it. But our school is a hybrid school. Mm-hmm. any WT style Taekwondo person that walks in here looking for WT style training, I think they would feel kind of awkward. They would be a little stunted because we don't approach it that way. There's a lineage of Taekwondo point sparring still a part of our training methodology, but our approach to the belt system is, okay, if you're white and yellow, you belong to this particular beginner group, and white and yellow, we know the average person that starts Taekwondo will quit.
Mm-hmm.
Will quit. The random student that walks into the room, we don't expect them to say, you're not every trial student stays and takes class with us. Mm-hmm. And so if you do stay, we have a good 2 to 4 months with you. So our mentality is, okay, in 2 to 4 months, can we give you something that can, if you choose to retain it and practice it, will it serve you? Mm-hmm. And so it does not serve the students for our school, for our philosophy. It doesn't serve them any kind of justice to teach them anything remotely close to sport. We don't teach them no sports stuff. We don't slap gear on them or nothing like that. They will learn how to do a jab and a cross. They will learn how to do a push kick, a roundhouse kick, a front kick, and an axe kick. And we will teach them the most basic body clinch throw. Mm-hmm. We will teach them the most basic hip throw. That's your curriculum. You're done. Okay? Because I don't expect them to stay forever.
Yeah.
So in the first 4 months between white to yellow, if you choose to quit, well, you have something on you.
Because you can use that.
Yeah, you got something on you. Now, if you choose to go beyond that, and in our structure, the next set of 3 belts is purple, orange, and green. Mm-hmm. That will be kind of like beginner intermediate. Yeah. Right? Beginner intermediate. At that level, okay, we will introduce sparring gear. We'll let you wear the hogu, all this stuff. So my challenge is, I do not want to ignore the sportive aspect of Taekwondo, because Taekwondo is the martial arts that I started with. It's my base for everything. Yeah, like you seem, I'm sure you're aware that like I practice other things, right? But I don't go away from Taekwondo. I'm a BJJ blue belt, judo green belt. I practice Muy Thai, boxing. However, thank the stars that Taekwondo was my first one, because the number one, the hip dexterity that Taekwondo requires,
that is so true.
The stamina that to be a basic Taekwondo fighter is absolutely tremendous. Like hip dexterity takes years to cultivate. You can't just hop in and then just have that overnight. Mm-hmm. Because of that, it's given me a lot of advantage in BJJ, for example. Like a lot of like guard game that I play, and things that people are telling me, hey, this requires a tremendous amount of flexibility. I don't think you'll be able to do it. I just do it, and they're kind of like mad at me that I can do it, Or not mad, but like perplexed.
Like, wait a minute,
at the very least, like, oh, Dan, I wish I could do that. And it's fun to see, hopping into Muay Thai, one of the first things that jumped out at me, and how amusing it was that like it took a great deal of effort for people to kick somebody, where like to the head, there's like so much setup to kick somebody in the head and all that stuff. And for us, that's just like another Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Like our kick game is extremely developed. We're boxers with legs, right? And in boxing, obviously you can't kick in boxing, but the footwork, the lightness on your feet, and switching and turning, pivoting, like I'm super proud of my gazelle hook, because of the Taekwondo footwork that I developed. Yeah, and so like Taekwondo is, I'm not going to say Taekwondo is the greatest martial arts. Like, you pick and choose what your greatest martial arts is, but like that is the greatest martial arts for me. To be able to use that as my base for like everything I've learned to this point. Yeah. And the balance that judo requires, there you go.
Yeah, that sounds
enough said.
A whole other monster.
That's it. Yeah. And so now that I'm a martial arts teacher, specifically in Taekwondo, I can't just ignore my passion. My passion for Taekwondo is I want to use it for fighting, for self-defense. Like I want to fight. I'm not a fan of the sportive approach, point chasing, right? However, that is a part of the Taekwondo family lineage, so to speak, right? I can't just ignore it. It would be doing my students a disservice to tell them ignore this completely, right? So how do I kind of sit between both worlds? I was like, okay, so let me teach in this method. Let me select certain things that can work in both. right? And then and then what's left over, I will tell them this won't work in sport, or this will absolutely work in sport, or this sport technique, dude, you do this in real fight, you're getting trounced. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely don't do this. And that's been the like preceding philosophy that I've had like for the past 10 years or so. Ever since Master Ram has put me in a position to be able to make more like creative decisions in teaching and like R&D, so to speak, right? And even like giving me the chance now to like influence and provide more stuff for the other schools, so that way they can choose whether or not they want to incorporate this into their material. We're very much a Taekwondo school, like as a branch, we're a Taekwondo school. But Victorville, Master Ram gave me the blessing to kind of like play with it a little bit, because Master Ram by no means is a purist. The person that introduced me to BJJ was Master Ram.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm so sure.
The person that like put my head to do boxing was Master Ram. And he taught me the most basic boxing rudimentary stuff that like I kept ever since.
Yeah, I remember as a student we had Masters Elite on Saturdays, and that was my jam. We did whatever you guys felt like that week. Really, we did weapons, we did grappling, we did like Taekwondo specialty stuff, we did you name it. Like if Master Ram took a seminar for another style that week, he's like, we're doing this.
Yeah. Master Ram's thing was like, dude, he loves that like Krav Maga, that type of material.
That's cool. I've never taken a Krav Maga class, but I've always wanted to. I've heard some cool stuff about it.
I would say like, yeah, that's our school right now. We kind of like thread the line between like old school and new school. We don't quite tell our students that what they're doing is old school or new school or whatever it is. The term that we say is this is sport, this is self-defense. That's what we say. Yeah. And we don't try to disparage the sports stuff, because I would make comparisons to other sports. Like, hey, your skills in football is great for football. That doesn't make football something to be made fun of because you can't use it in the street or whatever the heck it is. Like, you're not going to make fun of somebody for only learning soccer skills or baseball skills or whatever it is. Like, they're great in their realm. And I don't think Taekwondo is the only sport, the only martial arts that has that problem, condition, so to speak, between old school versus new school sport versus self-defense. BJJ has it too. Judo has it too. Muy Thai has it too. Yeah. Boxing in a certain way. My first time doing a BJJ tournament, that was my first introduction to BJJ as a sport. Right. Okay. So the sport game of BJJ is, you might think that like, hey, in a competition for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's just like, yeah, to choke the guy out, do an armbar, make him tap. It's like, so there are submission only tournaments, right? But a good majority of them are point based, to where like, okay, so if you mount the guy, you get this amount of points. If you manage to throw the guy, you get this amount of points. If you get out of his guard, if you pass the guy's guard, get out of his legs, right? You get this amount of points. And I was like, okay, so that sounds pretty easy. Okay, so here's how they would play it, right? In BJJ, if you're inside somebody's guard, in between their legs, and you manage to get out of it, pass their guard, you get awarded a certain amount of points. What some guys would do is they would get out of the guard, then they would get back in, and they would get back out. Oh my god. So now they're awarded, I don't know, like 3 points, 6 points, 9 points. Meanwhile, the guy at the bottom, who's straight up just trying to like escape and submit and choke himself, they get 0. Yeah. And this guy who's just like a snake just slithering in and out, and, like looking awfully sketch. Right? That's crazy. He ends up winning the match. They stand him up, raise the guy's hand, even though all he did was get in and out of a guy's legs. That's all I did the entire time. Didn't once try to go for any kind of joint lock or anything like that. Any kind of choke. So I'm like, what the heck? Okay. Yeah. And then in the tournament that I was at, I got a silver. The guy won by points. Well, I came in with the submission mindset. He came in, his school was very sportive. Okay. Our school is self-defense first, and then like sport second. Yeah. Right? Which I love, because that's kind of like that's what you're trying to do here. Yeah. Yeah. And so he beat me purely by points. Yeah, I didn't get submitted. I was super happy I didn't get submitted. I was so determined not to get submitted.
That was your goal, and you're like, we won.
I'm not getting choked. I'm not getting armbar. I'm not getting cranked by nothing. And I'm just trying to go after the guy and take him out as well. Yeah, so I couldn't get a submission. He couldn't submit me, but he won purely because of the points.
That's so, that's one thing about martial arts, and each style on its own is that they all have their own politics. They all have their own, like, this works, but we're kind of doing this, but not really. But to tie it back into what you guys are teaching here, how do you think the students are perceiving the hybrid teachings at the school? Because I always liked it. We can learn different things. I do feel like, I've never been in a real fight, like on the street, but I do feel like I'd be able to hold my own.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah. Probably because our gold team training.
Let's keep it that way. Yeah. Verbal judo.
Verbal judo, that was it. But as a students now, maybe some students do come here to learn like Olympic style Taekwondo or pure Taekwondo. Like, how do you think they adjust to the well-rounded teachings you guys do offer?
I think if you're a Taekwondo martial artist that have been doing this for a good amount of time, like what you and I are in, I think that is a more prominent issue in our site. I think if you're a person coming in on the street, if you're a kid walking in, if you're a parent who's curious about martial arts and putting their kid into something, I'm exaggerating, but it's actually not that far of an exaggeration. 8 out of the 10 phone calls or inquiries about kids' martial arts has nothing to do with the martial art, had everything to do with my kid needs confidence, my kid needs discipline, my kid needs focus. I get occasional 1 or 2 people that go, my kid is interested in martial arts, in fighting. My kid is interested in MMA. My kid, he watches Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers and he wants to be like that, right? So it was like, out of the 10 calls, 2 of them are something to do with the physicality.
Okay.
And the rest have something to do with character development. And because of that, when they come in and they see that the martial art, which in this case, we provide Taekwondo, the Taekwondo is to hide the fact that we're developing their character development. It's sort of like feeding pets like medicine. Like, you just give it the medicine, they'll spit it out, right?
Yeah.
But if you like kind of crush it up or cut it in half and then like wrap it up in a little bit of food or something like that, right? Then they'll eat it, no problem. It goes really good going down, right? Nobody wants to hear the lecture of like, work hard from your parents, from their coach or whatever.
Yeah.
But when the, thing that you're doing requires you to work hard, and then you realize that if you don't work hard, you don't see your techniques improve, or you don't see your sparring get better, or you can't land that kick or punch or throw or whatever it is, then the message of work hard clicks for you because now you're looking for it, right?
Yeah.
And so the average person that walks into the street, I definitely think that like maybe 9 out of 10 of them aren't even aware that that's an issue.
Okay.
They're not aware of like new school versus old school, or like traditional versus more self-defense versus sports and point chasing.
So this is their first introduction to martial arts. So like,
Yeah.
hey, I hear it can do this. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, they're definitely not concerned about it, and the kids are far from me.
Oh yeah, the kids don't care.
They don't even know.
They're
That's the thing.
here because their parents brought them.
they think this is how all Taekwondo is like. I bet so. Not even bet. I know a bunch of our students think like all Taekwondo schools are like this. Yeah. Where they like teach like we have self-defense, we have this. Not really. Yeah. And so to go to kind of revisit your question right there, I don't think that's a big of an issue for anybody that's new. Okay. I think where it might start to rise is if you know the in and out of the game, so to speak, or you're definitely aware of the scope of Taekwondo, right? And
then you start to question those things, or like notice it a little bit more.
And I think I think that will rise from like black belts or people who instruct. Right? Yeah, which is
makes sense.
Not too many.
Yeah,
which is not too many. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your thought on that though?
Well, hearing that perspective, where obviously like the younger kids that get started aren't really concerned about it, I think maybe it's different because my parents and my family that brought me into it were a little bit more aware of those things. So when I was having the conversation of what extracurricular activity to do, so I was 7 years old when I started.
Yeah.
I started in 2003, and it was my grandpa and my uncle Joey, and I remember this very clearly too. A lot of Taekwondo memories are pretty clear for me. We were in our kitchen, and they were like, "Oh, like you're 7 years old. We should put you in some sort of sport. Your cousin's doing cheerleading. Like, what do you want to do?" And I loved the Ninja Turtles game.
Oh yeah.
Or any fighting series or any fighting movies I'd watched with my grandpa. I just thought it was so cool.
Okay.
And my uncle noticed that, and he's like, "Oh, like, do you want to do martial arts?" And I was like, "That would be actually pretty cool." He's like, "Oh, but what type of martial arts so we can start looking into things?" And I didn't know.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you could do karate or kung fu or taekwondo," and I was like, "Well, like, what's the difference?" And the funny thing is, he said, "Oh, taekwondo is the one with the stick," and I was like, "Oh, thinking of Donatello from Ninja Turtles." And it's wild because I actually got started here. I loved it. Took a trial class, whatever.
Yeah.
We didn't do bow staff training in normal class.
None
We did
whatsoever.
0.
Yeah.
But that's what sold me. And then we came here and did that. Our weapon of choice is actually nunchucks.
Sure.
Growing up, and I tell that to the students now because ours is bow staff over there, traditional. But our third degrees are tapping into the nunchuck curriculum.
I see.
And then I showed one of the instructors, like, our little, because we used to demo them all the time, and she was like, "How do you know how to do that?" And I was like, our school was a little, we did what we wanted to, kind of.
That's so cool to hear. I love hearing the differences of the schools, man.
It's awesome. I do like the structure of the school I'm at right now. They're very true to Taekwondo, and it's funny because I talk about my experience as a student here, where I obviously, like you said, I thought this was true Taekwondo growing up, and then I realized now that I was like, no, we did like a lot of mixed stuff. Like, people in Taekwondo aren't learning how to do a rolling armbar on Saturday classes, like that was just because our school did it, which was one of my favorite things. I had a question and I completely forgot where I was going with this. Oh, it was curriculum based. So I wanted to ask, since you guys are incorporating more hybrid training now, I mean, we did it a little bit when I was younger, but how do you think the curriculum has grown since when we were students? Because I know Master Tuan used to have us do those rolls where we jump over the wave master tops,
Right.
or the hand, the grips.
Right.
A couple things like that, but that was really the extent of it. I remember there being like a hand technique, kicking, breaking, forms, and that was like our testing, and it was very straight and to the point. How do you think their belt by belt curriculum has changed, or has it changed at all?
I think from your time as a student and instructor, it's definitely changed quite a bit. I would say I think the most significant change that you'll see when you come to like a normal regular class is definitely a much bigger presence in grappling.
Okay.
There really is, and that's my fault.
I can see that.
I don't fault's the wrong word. I'm kind of joking about it, but no, I'm doing it in Master Tuan's blessing. Of course, this is his school. He gives me the grace to be able to like pick and choose, modify, and things like that. The philosophy that I think is a very healthy philosophy is, hey, Master Tuan goes, listen, we're always going to teach our students more, never less. We're always going to teach them more. We don't want to take anything away from them, right? So Master Tuan is more self-defense based, and because of that, during his time of actively teaching, he was kind of doing his thing on the side to figure out what things to bring home as far as self-defense goes to incorporate, right? Now, during my time, I'm stepping into those shoes and pulling and learning on my own and stuff like that. We all have to start somewhere. His direction was a lot more Krav Maga. I would dub it like Krav Maga-esque.
Okay.
So he brought a lot of that home, right? Now I've had a taste of that, and now during my era, I'm leaning a lot more into the grappling base approach to self-defense. So that's why you'll see BJJ influence and judo influence and wrestling influence in a lot of the self-defense stuff that we teach, along with some of the things that Master Nam has brought from his like Krav Maga and like fight days.
Okay.
Right. The difference that you'll see is, yeah, white belts would do like the most rudimentary thing, which is like a body lock. Call it a day. The purple, orange, and green belt, they get introduced to the most like rudimentary, basic, like I would call them like judo-esque techniques.
Okay.
Right. Like an outer reap, a sotogari, or like a hip throw and a goshi, or a head and arm throw, whether that's more judo style or wrestling style. And the trend kind of continues at blue and brown. A red belt and up, I kind of start giving them a taste of like wrestling based techniques. Right. Like, do you remember a long time ago that there was one where like, okay, they would grab the wrist and then I would grab it and then we would like hook our arm underneath the leg and throw it over our shoulder. Okay, that's a wrestling throw.
Is it really?
That's a wrestling throw.
I did it to my little sister.
Yeah, when I started adding wrestling into my repertoire of like stuff, I then had like just like a sudden like memory flash, like that's so Raven moment. That's when Raven just goes blank and then she sees the future. No, I just remember the past. That's what it was. So like, oh my god, like this thing that I thought was kind of dumb. I was like, oh, Master was trying to teach us a wrestling move, but
never told us.
but never told us it's a wrestling move. And so we did it in a Taekwondo context, which is like stand up.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff is very like rigid, like karate
Very
kata,
technique,
Taekwondo
yeah.
form, pumse kind of a thing. Right. And so I realized like that's the path that Master Am was trying to walk the entire time. But knowledge being traded back and forth, and what he was able to pick up, he was limited by the technology of his time. Like the internet wasn't much of a thing for him, right? And as a result, what is the resource he could go to in this little small high desert town in order to like fill in that information gap? Where would he go? So he did the best that he could. But now in my era, we have the internet. There's a vast amount of like other style of martial arts schools around.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And then other people that we network with in our martial arts community, Taekwondo and otherwise. So I'm vastly far more lucky and at a better advantage to kind of pick up where Master Arm left off. Yeah. So because of that, there is now a big difference in like with the red belt and up, we're having them on certain days actually spar with some of these throws. So sparring days. So we have something called A week and B week. A week,
Yes.
you will definitely do a lot more like what you would call like Taekwondo, just straight Taekwondo. It two-thirds of it is Taekwondo, and then a third of the class that day there will be some element of what we dub as self-defense.
Okay.
Right, and then on B weeks, now that's a sparring week. We would do, let me see, 2/3 of it is, 1/3 is striking,
Okay.
which is punching and kicking, but not in the Taekwondo context. It's more of a street fight context.
Okay.
And then the other third is Taekwondo sparring. We would practice Taekwondo sparring. And then the final third of it is, we just dub this as sparring, where so all of these have been just strict technical. That we haven't gone hard on each other. We haven't gone live, right? But the third is a live session, and sparring that day could take the form of like Taekwondo sparring as rules. Okay, yes, kick to the body, a couple of kicks to the head. You don't do anything else. Sparring could be, all right, guys, we're gonna do stand-up sparring. Hit everything, right? Punch, kick, throw, and then all right, guys, sparring today is grappling based. Everybody take off your sparring gear, take off your hoop, take off stuff. Just leave your mouth guard and groin protector on. All right, start throwing people. Start doing arm bars. That's sparring.
That's so cool.
We literally just put the word sparring up there, and they don't know what type of
what
sparring
it could
we're doing.
be. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Because doing that in Masters Elite was one of my favorite times. Well, and especially because the only other girl in class was Imari, so we got really close during those sessions. Making each other tap out was our favorite thing to do.
We call it. During my time now, I call it Master Club. I didn't like the term elite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Master Nam loves making the students, feel significant, feel special, or make the students realize that they carry a title now, so you have to live up to that title, right? but I'm not Master Nam. And so when I took over Master's Elite and kept calling him Master Elite, I'm like,
It was different.
The vibe was different. I felt identity crisis in a way. It was like,
Like, this isn't my
yeah.
club.
So I'm gonna call it Master Club, right? So because this is a club, I'm teaching. I'm the master who's teaching it, but it has nothing to do with you being special, right? You're not elite.
Yeah.
We invite the criteria for Master's Elite, right? Which I now call Master Club. So I know we have to pause because I needed a bathroom break, but we were talking about curriculum, so I figure I just pull out this curriculum book. So it's very organized in a very rudimentary way. It leaves room for the instructor and the master who's teaching the class that day to have flexibility and wiggle room. Okay. But like the tricky part about teaching a more modern, closer to the modern way, but also balancing the old stuff is like we have to pick and choose when to introduce more self-defense based stuff, more real world stuff, more sportive stuff. So white belt and yellow belt, there's zero intro to sportive. Right. So this is a week curriculum, and it's every other week stuff, right? And so the most traditional thing they get introduced to is like riding horse stance.
Okay.
Right. And the traditional Taekwondo kicks are there, of course. That's the base, right? The in this cycle, we drill them on front kick and push kick for like 2 months, 8 weeks, 2 months, right? Nice. In cycle 2, they get introduced to roundhouse and axe kick, right? So in cycle 1, both white belts and yellow belts are drilling front kick and push kick. Yep. And sure, they might get glimpses of like roundhouse and axe kick and stuff like that, but that's a cycle 2 stuff where we focus a little bit more. But here, for the audience members who are watching, riding horse stance would be considered Taekwondo traditional, the front kick and push kicks. So week 1 is front kick and push kick. Just we can focus on step by step. Focus on that. If you get beyond that and you can make it more active, great. But hey, just the most boring rudimentary thing. And then let's have them learn a break fall. So if they get pushed or thrown, they know how to not get hurt. Here we introduce them to a collar tie, so that they can do a rudimentary throw, grabbing the back of the head.
Oh, okay.
And the neck. Yep. And then like controlling the arm, and then doing an outer reap throw, which is step over the side, kick the leg out, dump into the ground. Right. Week 2, we're going to review the front kick and push kick, but now we're emphasizing a little bit more on footwork. So now they have to start shuffling with it. They forward and backslide with it. And now they front kick with the footwork, but they're now hitting targets with it. Right. Okay. So that's, you can kind of imagine what that will look like. Yeah. Okay. And now we're still going to go back to this section 1, section 2, section 3. And in section 3, you notice we're back to the self-defense again. Break fall, side fall. And again, they're going to do their outer reap throw. We focus on this the whole entire whole cycle, right? Okay. And the one throw that they learn, if they ever quit, it's like, hey, we hope this serves you in some form or fashion, right? And in week 3, now they're doing multiple kicks. They're kicking down range, and now they're combining the kicks together, combining the footwork together. And on the last week, the 8th week, that we just practice test with it, called mock testing. Right? Review, mock test, review. Okay? This is B week stuff. So here, this is focused more on their handwork, right? So now they're going to do like a boxing style cover block, a half block, full cover. This is a little bit more closer to Krav Maga.
I remember seeing that when we were here.
Yeah. Head movements, so boxing style head movements, slips, rolls, pulls, like that. And we're going to drill them on their 1-2, their jab cross. And if there's time, we're going to introduce them to their hooks. Lead off rear hooks. Okay? And now with self-defense for them, on B-Week, self-defense has a lot to do with more verbalization, right? Making sure that they that they communicate a story to whoever's witnessing the fight that they're the good guy, right? You can't tell people, hey, I'm a good person, I'm trying to protect myself. It's like, no, stop, get back now.
I remember that.
Okay? Get away from me, don't come any closer. Like. And since we're teaching like 7-year-olds.
Yeah. But as crazy as that is, that works.
Yeah.
And
if you're teaching a 7-year-old, I can articulate all day long about why this is important, or just give them something physical and a script to say. So the script is stop, get back down, and then run away.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Because it needs to be self-defense first.
Exactly. Here we start working on their body clinches, right? hugging the body, controlling the hip, dumping them down, okay, body folding them over, okay. They get introduced here on the week 2 of B week for managing space, going offline, stuff like that. And we use the traditional Taekwondo sliding forward, sliding back, to kind of practice that concept, so to speak, right? And so let me see here. Now we are reviewing. This is more of a review, if anything.
Okay.
But now it's a lot more active. There's blending it together. The very same structure to the kick. Rudimentary technique. Now they start with footwork. Now footwork and combinations. Right? Rudimentary technique. Now with footwork. Now footwork and combinations.
Okay, so with all that stuff, how does testing normally look like for their next belt?
Testing for white belt and yellow belt. They will walk in. When it's time to test, then we stretch out. Then, all right, everybody stand up. All right, show us the riding horse stance. Everybody run, let's go. All right, everybody sponsors, ready to go. Show me basic footwork. First one, shuffle. They shuffle, shuffle. Next one, switch retreat. Great, everybody stop. Line up, tall to small. Let's go ahead and start practicing your front kick and your push kick. We give them about a 2-minute practice. We hold targets for them. Right. All right, guys, this is testing. Nobody's going to instruct you anything. Okay. Most we can do is tell you great job, motivate you, keep the spirit up. But nobody's going to teach you anything. Don't ask us how to do a technique. Okay? All right, everybody practice front kick. Where does that go? So now it's a line drill. They kick, they go back in line, kick, go back in line. All right. Now we test you on a front kick. You have 2 chances to kick the target with a front kick. We're looking for, how to bend your knee, kicking with your instep, your balance, posture, like those kind of basic things. You have 2 tries to kick the target. Best one out of the 2 will get the grade. If the best one happens to be like an A grade, great, you pass with an A. If the best one is like a C grade, great, all right, then you pass with a C. If the best one that you can do is not suitable for what we're looking for, you fail. Yeah. And if both of them are great, well then great, we just got
great job.
It's great, excellent. It doesn't do anything more or less, right? So we give them 2 chances to hit the target. All right, afterwards, now it's time for the next kick. All right, everybody show me your push kick. Okay, great. All right, stop. There's a board breaking element too. That's another kind of like traditional.
Yeah, so that was my next question.
Yeah, they break a board, and breaking the board here. The explanation for the students that they're going to get from us is, it's a type of practice that's, it's very old way to practice. Breaking boards, right? To test your capability and your follow through and stuff like that. We make you guys break board because we believe that you guys have to show us your ability to work through discomfort. When you're kicking with the top of your foot, a lot of people, they like to kick with the ball of their foot. Yeah. Right? We make them kick with the top of their foot because we know it's going to hurt. We tell them, it's like, it's going to hurt. I'm telling you right now, it's going to hurt. Okay, but remember this, okay? And Captain America punch bad guys left and right, he's fine. You punch and kick another person in real life, you're hurting them and you're hurting yourself. A real fight, people are getting hurt. Right? As a result of that, working through discomfort shows us your commitment, shows us your strength in the mind and stuff like that. And so when they kick that board, we're not like, what do you call it, like torture freaks where we absolutely want to see them get hurt. I'm not gonna make like a 5-year-old break like a 2-inch board, whatever. He's like breaking the teeniest tiny one. But like kids, they get it in their head a lot more than.
This is tough. Yeah, let me.
Right. So that's part of the test. And we give them an infinite amount of chances. The only reason they would fail board breaking is because you're taking unreasonably long. We're gonna move on. Right. Yeah. But then like after testing, we give them a chance to break it again. So there really is no way you can fail board breaking.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, if you're not strong in your mind, right? Okay, and then now, all right, everybody, time to glove up. Now it's time to show us your boxing techniques. Jab, cross, slip, pull, roll. Okay, now it's bag time. Go to the bag. Okay, on my whistle, you work the thing. Okay, your own way, and these are white belts. These are yellow belts. They're not professional in this by any means. I'm not looking for the best. I'm looking for, do they have the fundamentals? Are their elbows in? Are their hands generally up? Right? Are they covering their chin? Some of them will cover their chin, like they kind of stick it out like this. Dude, I'm even okay with that. Right? Because remember, I have 2 to 4 months with them at best. Right? You can't turn somebody into like an adequate fighter in 2 to 4 months.
Yeah.
So you have to pick and choose the battle that you choose. You have to choose the technique you choose to enforce. So the one I enforce is hands up, elbows in, right? Cover your chin, right? Some people always say, you really need to teach them to chin down. It's like, listen, there's only so many details.
Yeah. And most of the students are fairly young. Yeah. Too. So if they have their hands up, it's a good day.
Pick and choose our battles, right? So now it's bag work time. They work the bag in their own freestyle way. All right, now it's the torture time. I just want to see your capability to keep going, even though it's getting hot and sweaty, even though your heart's about to explode. So we would arbitrarily make them, all right, you work the bag, and you do like 10,000 burpees or something. I'm just making them work.
Yeah.
Just making them work. And then when I blow a whistle, now you, who's doing burpees, you hop on the bag, and you, who is on the bag, now you do burpees. Or you do push-up, or you do sit-ups, or squat, whatever the exercise I'm telling you to do. And that's just a torture session for them to go through, so that way the endurance. They show their endurance, their stamina. But more importantly, their character, their heart.
Yeah.
Right? In every martial arts test, if there's not a form of suffering in some way, I think you don't feel like you took a test.
I completely agree with that. Yeah. You want to feel like you earned it as a student.
Yeah, and some masters and teachers might do in a very arbitrary way. Some people have a more artistic way of doing it. Some people have a brutal way of doing it. But whatever the case may be, if the students goes through it, in the end, they felt like, wow, I went through a test. Yeah. If there's not suffering, the test doesn't feel like a test. It can't just be all technical.
Yeah, it can't just be easy and then, nice new belt. Yeah. No, our testing, right now I just do black belt testing, obviously, at the new school, and I really enjoy it. It sucks leading up to it because you're about to die all day on a Saturday. But once I get there, I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to have an incredible workout. I'm going to go through kind of a high degree of torture. Sure. Oh, but ours is.
I just realized something. I forgot to add one more detail. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
But I have to say this out loud before I lose train of thought. For any listener who's Taekwondo peers, modern, right? They're like, where's the Pumse? There is no Pumse. There is no Pumse for white belt, yellow belt. We do not teach Pumse to white belt, yellow belt, or any belt. We don't teach Pumse until the red belt.
Can I guess why?
Do it.
Because it sounds like all of the curriculum leading up to it is one, real world fight stuff. Stuff that you can incorporate into an actual situation. Yeah. Pumse. I don't know if you've seen those videos on TikTok where it's someone breaks into the house in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Somebody breaks into my house. Time to bust out my Taekwondo skills.
It's taking one.
Taking one. Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen. If, when I was younger, I was like, I know Taekwondo, and I'd show all my uncles, and this was it. And they're like, that's great, Lonnie. Good job.
Exactly. Yes. So that was the idea. But by no means was that my idea. That's Master Nam conferring with a lot of his peers and his mentors who kind of steered him in the direction and advised him about, his ideal, his approach to Taekwondo. And so the decision to teach Pumse to red belt and up, that's what
because by that time, based off of this curriculum plan, it sounds like they have all of the basic techniques down, so they know how to put it together.
Right.
Because at that point, Pumse is a compilation of, all the different blocks, hand techniques, kicks, and stuff. Right. So if you don't have the basic or the fundamentals for that, then it's kind of hard to put together.
How can I justify to a kid, put your hands up when you're in a fight and you're punching and kicking, and then in a Pumse, I tell him, put his hand to his belt. Yeah. And then chin out, shoulders up, chest out, everything, and punch like this.
And that's not.
Yeah. And when at white belt, I drill them to rotate their shoulder behind their punch. Make sure all these fundamentals are there. And then the complete exact opposite fundamental is being taught to them. So I was like, okay, so what do we prioritize? The Pumse, which is the beauty of the Taekwondo art.
Traditional Taekwondo.
Yeah. Or their well-being, and keeping in mind, they're here for 2 to 4 months when they're starting out at best. Yeah. So because, all right, supplements. And that trajectory continues. And then at red belt, okay, now you have had And you have, to our comfort, some degree to be able to defend yourself on a street level. By no means are you a champion fighter. Like if somebody who specializes in BJJ grab you, dude, don't think you can out BJJ a BJJ.
Yeah.
Don't think you can outbox a boxer. Okay, we're talking about like an untrained opponent, right? So untrained opponent, I think you'll be like okay, right?
You'll have a slight upper hand.
Yeah.
You'll know
Yeah.
how to do things correctly, what to look for.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's like, okay, we will now give you a little bit of the traditional, of a touch on Pumse, and now we can explain to you why a forward stance exists, why a back stance exists. And
Yeah, trying to teach just an 8-year-old purple belt a back stance when I was an instructor was a challenge. I remember that.
yeah, they're a little bit more coordinated, and once they reach red belt, to be able to do the things that you're asking to do. The thing about Pumse, if we go back to like the reason why martial arts exists and the approach that people took to teach it, martial arts was never meant to be taught to kids. Therefore, it was never meant to be taught to children.
Yeah.
It was meant to be taught to people with adult bodies and coordination and understanding, because you're teaching them to use these techniques to go to war, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was like, Taekwondo originated from like war self-defense, like in the military.
Yeah, the most like ancient, rudimentary form of it. If you want to like trace it as far as you can go, then it's like thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, Taekwondo, I like as a the name, it's not even 100 years old.
Yeah.
Right? But sure, if you want to trace the lineage as far as you can possibly go, definitely stretches to thousands and thousands of years, and it's definitely more for wartime and for adult bodies to be able to do these things and to learn them quickly, because you're going to go out there in the field and get killed. They had the same mentality. It's like, hey, you're in boot camp, their version of boot camp. You're in boot camp for like, these amount of times. We have to train you up to a certain level as a foot soldier to go out there and get killed, right? You're here to just take all the damage and the arrows and all the swords. So here's some rudimentary stuff. If you survive, all right, now you specialize. You get to learn a little bit more.
Yeah,
right? Like that's been the methodology. The United States Army does that. If you survive and you want to specialize, we'll invest more money into you, and you can get training and all this stuff. But otherwise, hey, here, dude, learn how to shoot your gun while you're standing, how you're kneeling, and going prone. That's all we're going to teach you. We're not going to teach you how to shoot upside down, hang from a helicopter. Like, leave that to the Navy SEALs to
too much, yeah.
Right, all that stuff, right?
Information overload.
Yeah, and so because of that, now flash forward to modern times. Sure, martial arts is more accessible to civilians, where majority of us aren't going to war. But now but because we're able to teach it to kids, now suddenly, why do we expect kids to be able to do Pumse well? That's our belief. That's our belief. For the schools that can teach Pumse to kids, I believe it works because a good amount of them aren't burdened with what we're struggling to not let go, which is we have to teach them self-defense of some kind. There's got to be grappling of some kind. So where's the room? Where can we make the room? Yeah. Right? So,
but as a hybrid school, you guys have that freedom to do so.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
So because we concentrate the majority of like the rudimentary stuff for self-defense in the front end. Now on the later end, red belt approaching black belt with like varying steps in between, we can now have the luxury to give you Pumse training. And by this point, you also have rudimentary grappling techniques to now where if we introduce to you more advanced things on the ground, or standing up and grabbing another person, you're also skilled in that. Our red belt, if they do Pumse, I have to remind myself, they're white belts at Pumse right now.
Yeah.
They're absolutely white belts at Pumse right now. They're not going to be good. And because of that, my expectation has to be a little bit more fair. Right?
Okay.
I have to remind myself of that. Yeah, so our red belt doing Pumse, they look like your white belts. They really do. They don't quite bend their knee the right way. They don't quite straighten out exactly. Their posture's not right. A lot of them are used to doing this kind of a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have to train them to do.
Like Pumse's very
So like in their mind, so in their mind, we're training them to do like bad posture.
Yeah.
This is good. This is a good carry position,
is
right?
so
This
funny.
is bad posture. Why are you teaching this, Master Lee? It's like,
Oh my gosh, Master Rossi, my Pumse coach, please don't come for us.
yeah. And so that's our unique challenge here at our school. And it's like, okay, we must honor the WT, hence the WT. We still have the old logo, WTF.
It's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we our lineage came from WT. We it would be wrong for us to not honor that, right? But we aren't beholden to it. If we look at it as like kids moving out of their parents' house, or kids going into a career field that the family has never ever been to. Like if you came from a family of doctors, all of a sudden you want to be, I don't know, like a construction engineer, architect, or whatever it is, right? Maybe the family might look at you. It's like, hey, the family trade was we operate this hospital together. Now you're doing a thing that's different. We don't hate you for it, but you're kind of an odd person. And that child can choose to go, you know what, this is the career field that most of my family members are in. I'm going to do something different. And I hate them because they look at me weird for doing this thing that's different from them. Like you can choose to be negative about it, or you can choose to think, they're not after the same thing that I'm after. They have a passion this, I have a passion that. But I love what my family does. They what they do is beautiful. What I do is equally as beautiful. And I think it's just as important at the end of the day. We do not, our school as a whole, we don't hate the new school. We don't hate the sport, the point chasing, if you want to disparagingly call it that.
Yeah.
We understand its place. For a martial arts to exist for a long time, there needs to be a sportive element to all martial arts, right? Like BJJ has a sportive element.
Yeah.
Judo went through that already, and maybe inside the judo world somebody can argue that no, it's still going bad towards or whatever it is. But I don't know if you know this, but with judo, it's the art of throwing people.
Yeah.
However, there's certain throws that you can't do. Like for example, anything that involves grabbing a leg,
Okay.
you can't do. And
But that's more wrestling, right?
That's more wrestling. Now, okay, tangent. Okay, for any sport that goes into the Olympics, this is the most like caveman macro view of it. There's somebody out there watching this video that's gonna be like, you got your facts wrong, you got your dates in order. I know, dude. Okay, but this is the macro view of it that has made me be able to digest this information while I try to look at things on a broader level. And that is anything that enters into the Olympics, it must be crowd pleasing. There needs to be a structure that people can understand who's winning or losing. So the sports that are primarily associated with the Olympics up to a certain point in time, wrestling was a big one, boxing's a big one, right? So now comes in judo. Judo is a martial art. Okay, judo had a lot of things, including the throws, including the groundwork, and all these things. So then they go, okay, well, listen, if we put you in judo into the Olympics, the audience that's going to watch you. That's because you're cannibalizing the wrestling audience.
Yeah.
So now judo has to come up with a certain structure so that the audience member who's watching it can understand who's winning or losing, right? And if with judo at its core, the traditional, they did wrestling style, what we would dub wrestling moves, but because they're going to the Olympics, go, okay, judo, what's going to differentiate you from wrestling? Okay. Oh, well, here, let me make a rule set so that way we don't look like wrestling.
Yeah.
And vice versa, right? So now Taekwondo comes in. Taekwondo, we punch, we kick. That's old school, right? Taekwondo was so was so, like Taekwondo, Muay Thai, karate, like at its core, like kind of looked the same. It really kind of looked the same. We just wore different stuff. And then Taekwondo comes in and it's like, well, listen, you kick and punch. What's the boxing crowd going to feel about this? Okay, they punch, right? All right. Okay, we'll kind of still punch, but we will reward more points for kicks. And then throughout time, the system evolved, and now it became like an all-kicking sport. And the punch is like the most like ridiculous thing that you watch because it was so de-emphasized. Right. So, but however, Taekwondo is the most practiced martial arts on the planet. Like it's the most popular.
Which is crazy because I feel like it's not a hot topic. Everyone talks about all the other styles, and Taekwondo kind of low key gets a little slept on.
So anything that wants a chance to survive for centuries, for millennia, there needs to be some kind of sport element. Otherwise, it can't stay. It's going to, kind of get overrun, or, kind of be considered obsolete, or a very niche product, so to speak. There needs to be a sportive element, for it to survive in some form or fashion. Yeah. That's my long way of saying there's a reason why our school, we don't hate sport. We don't hate, we don't talk mess. We definitely try to instill in our students, don't look at this thing as like, our Taekwondo is better, your Taekwondo is worse, all this stuff. We're all family members.
We're all martial artists.
Yeah, don't make fun of your cousin Ed just because he lives in a different town than you.
We love Ed. Yeah.
Yeah, we love Ed. We love Taekwondo point sparring just as much as we love Taekwondo as a grappler. Because I think like the name of Taekwondo, right, is like the way of the hand,
the
fist.
Yeah,
100%. Feet in the hands, right?
Yes.
And like would let's say with Jeet Kune Do. With Bruce Lee stuff, right? His way is like the art, the way of the intercepting fist, the art of no style, so to speak. But the art of no style has a style. It's like this is the Jeet Kune Do style of punching. Like Jeet Kune Do is not supposed to have a style of punching.
Yeah.
Jeet Kune Do's philosophy was like take what works,
Exactly.
take what works for you, right? And disregard what isn't working for you right now. But think of it in a self defense and in a street fight kind of context. So if we're looking at as Taekwondo, if we want to like kind of really look at it in a macro view, everything that we're teaching in our school is Taekwondo. Everything. Okay, you do need your hands to punch just as much as you need your hands to be able to grab and throw somebody. You need your legs to kick just as important as it is to trip somebody in a foot sweep, or to be able to like hold them down when you armbar them. So it's all Taekwondo. The kids who are growing up here in our school, they think it's all Taekwondo. And in a way, they're right.
Yeah.
In a way, they have a much more healthy view of it than I do. Because internally, I'm like, what I'm teaching you, I learned from BJJ, or what I'm teaching you, I learned from my wrestling coach.
I'm just here.
Yeah. This double leg that I'm teaching you, I learned this from my wrestling coach. This, I'm running the pipe. I learned this from so and so. But to them, it's like this is all Taekwondo.
Yeah.
They don't know anything else.
But that's great because the new generation of fighters that you guys are, raising here, they're able to be those well-rounded fighters, so say because people start to branch out a little bit after high school, and try other things. So you'll have students here like, oh, I want to go take a jiu-jitsu class. Right. And then they'll be like, oh, I know how to do this actually. Right. And then they're already comfortable and in their element, and it's not such an abrasive change.
Right.
But along this topic of, what Taekwondo can learn from other styles, you guys have really brought that together at this school. What do you think other styles could learn from Taekwondo? Like you mentioned earlier, your jiu-jitsu class, like the hip flexibility that true Taekwondo offers because all of our crazy kicks and stuff. Kind of along that road, like, you pull in other styles to teach traditional Taekwondo here and other things, but like what do you bring to your other studios, or what do you notice? But before you answer that, I'm going to share I took a Muy Thai class.
Oh, yeah?
My first Muy Thai class ever. It was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to get into it. I'm Thai also, so my uncle does it. I was like, oh, let's go. I went with a friend of mine, and we go on a sparring day, and we didn't know.
Oh, okay.
We didn't know. and the classes there are like 2 hours long. It's not like a 50-minute class.
Let's go.
So we show up, and I'm like, damn it. Okay. And because she didn't really train martial arts, so she wasn't really sure of what that entailed. I knew we were going to get our butts kicked. And I was like, all right, I'm gearing up. We're here. Wrap my hands. We started off with running and 200 push-ups. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go.
Right.
And we start, and they're like, oh, we have some new students. Be nice. Everyone is nice. I got punched in the face at least 6 times. And it wasn't hard, but it was very, very abrasive for someone who trains traditionally Taekwondo.
As a Taekwondo person, yep.
I was like, oh my God. And it hurt my pride every single time. And I was like, okay, I got to lock in. But the funny thing is, one of the guys I was sparring, And Taekwondo sparring stances, you could call it out.
Sure.
You could see
Yeah,
what we train. They were obviously in their Muay Thai stance. I was like here because I didn't know if we were like shouting it or going low because they kick legs. I was here, and everyone there was way more comfortable leading with the punches, going in, and then like throwing in a teep or a kick or a leg kick here and there. My only approach was like a front leg round kick, just to inch my way in, and it was so funny. And one of the guys stops mid match and goes, "What do you do?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "No, like, be for real. What do you do?" So that was my experience with it, and I think they were able to call it out because I was so kick heavy,
right?
And like I was light on my feet, and I was really kick heavy,
right?
But I wasn't scared to inch in on people with my kicks because I knew my leg could get high if I needed to.
Right.
I knew my legs could push them back if I needed to.
Right.
And I think theirs was the opposite. Like they needed to like feel it with their hands. They were like leaning forward going in.
Sure.
But on that note, so what do you think you brought to your other schools and other styles from your Taekwondo experience?
Okay. To answer that question, I think it will be a healthier conversation if I start the opposite direction.
Okay.
Was, what did those arts contribute to our school and our Taekwondo? Right. Since you talk about Muay Thai, I'll talk about Muay Thai. So, what picking up on Muay Thai contributed to my Taekwondo was the way that they did their push kicks. Okay, the way that they did their push kicks or their teep. Right, a little bit different than what I was introduced to as a kid. Right, the way they emphasized the penetration of it, right, and hitting more with the ball of your foot as opposed to here we're hitting more and more square.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So I thought that was the most like immediate, obvious, and very fascinating difference to me about how we do our push kicks. But I think in a more big impact way that Muay Thai has impacted our school was the sparring culture. The sparring culture of Muay Thai is vastly healthier. Okay. And we're talking about like Thailand Muay Thai.
Yeah.
I can't speak for American Thai, although I will tell you this. I would say it's pretty darn similar to like the handful of Muay Thai schools that I've like trained in, right? But the Muay Thai culture of sparring, and this is the most true in Thailand, is that like Thai people, if they're doing Muay Thai, they might be doing it recreationally. They might doing it because it's just fun. So many of them do it because it's their bread and butter. This is how they bring money home to the family. Whether it's like the adults doing it or like even like kids who are like 10 to 12 to 15 years old, they're fighting in Lapini Stadium, like trying to like get the money, right? Because they suffer so much heavy impact in those matches when they do spar. They keep it as light and as playful and as like easy breezy as possible. They're literally tagging each other in the most lightest way. They're joking, they're laughing, they're having fun, they're not that serious about it, right? It's so playful and it's so healthy. Before I had a chance to have more influence at the school, the sparring was really hard all the time.
Yes.
And I think it has something to do with the fact that we had a lot of gear on, right? Because we have a lot of gear on, full blast kick to the chest is all good because, we have protection, but that's what scares a lot of kids away from doing things long term. The fear, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody's first time swimming, you throw them into the deep end of the pool, like you expect them to just be able to swim right away. That would be the false expectation. They're going to start drowning immediately. They will, I don't know if they'll hate swimming or not, but they'll hate you, they'll associate swimming with you and that bad memory. They'll never go to a swimming pool with you again. So, because of that, I started kind of like testing it until eventually it is part of the culture of our school, which is sparring is always going to be light. Sparring is never going to be heavy, ever. Just play tag, be nice to each other. There will be days where we go full contact. Majority of our training shouldn't be that, right? We have a specific class that people can go through. There's one class that happens every other week at 7 o'clock on Friday that people can go hard with each other. If you choose to go hard, it must be because you both agree.
Yeah.
Right. So on a regular average training day, everybody's going light. The only time we go hard is if both parties talk about it beforehand and they choose to do it. right? Everybody's expected to go light with everybody. Everybody's expected to play. So as a result, there's less burnout. There's less kids afraid of sparring. It used to be the opposite culture here, that people love Pumze more.
Oh, yeah.
And they hated sparring.
That was my generation.
Yeah. Now in the past 5 to 10 years, it's flipped. People here love sparring way more, and not as many people like Pumze. Right? It's flipped now. Maybe actually, I would say the same amount of people love Pumze, but they love sparring more.
Okay.
That will be a fair assessment. So from Muay Thai, the sparring culture of Muay Thai and the longevity of it, I think, has contributed greatly to the school and the way that I approach sparring.
Yeah.
I right now, as I'm recording this, I'm 37, right, approaching 40. If I want martial arts to be something that I do long term, adapting a much more lighter approach to sparring has to be the way that I do it, because my joints.
You can't get the snot beat out of you every class and then expect to come back.
Yeah. I say this to my students so many times, but I tell them just about every car is capable of going 100 miles per hour. But I don't mean you need to go 100 miles per hour all the time. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to kill other people.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't happen, you'll blow the engine, right? My little
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, the little Prius can go 100 miles per hour. Right? That don't mean you should do it all the time, right? If you want your car to last long, you, generally speaking, put gas and oil in it, do the maintenance and all that stuff, and only when the time is right to punch it up 100 miles per hour would you absolutely do it. Otherwise, keep it below the speed limit, keep it chill.
Nice.
So because of that, the longevity, for sure. So now, what can Taekwondo contribute to Muay Thai? I think a Muay Thai fighter, the most advanced Muay Thai fighters that I've gone against, and the ones that I've seen on the internet and stuff like that, the advanced ones, I noticed they incorporate Taekwondo style kicks.
Okay.
They incorporate Taekwondo style kicks. They would. I've literally went to a class where a Muay Thai crew instructor, right? He taught this as an advanced team, and when he taught his advanced team, how he demonstrated it, how he turned his body.
Oh, stop!
It's a side kick. It's a full-on side kick. He called it an advanced team, right? I've been to other schools where they just straight up, hey, it's a side kick. We're going to teach you a side kick. Great, it's a side kick. This guy called it an advanced team. Right? To which I go, interesting. I just do it.
Yeah.
It's easy, right?
You're like, we learned this at.
It's fine.
We learned it at back in the
Okay.
day, purple belt.
Sure, right. And so because of that, the Muay Thai guys that I go against when we're doing stand up, they are always surprised by the Taekwondo stuff that I throw. Our repertoire of kicks, I think we're the most developed, right? If boxing is the most well developed in terms of hands, then we're the opposite of that spectrum. We box with our legs. Because of that, we developed a unique way of approaching things with our legs. So Muay Thai's kicks are extremely powerful. They're about generating the most force, the most impact behind the kick. Speed is part of power, right? But I think for us, speed is absolute. For Taekwondo, speed.
For sure.
There's no discussion. You must have speed. So what's the most maximized way you can emphasize that speed? We snap our leg a lot of times. But point being, I surprise a lot of Muay Thai guys with my kicks. That's for sure. Oftentimes they're surprised by how close we can get to them while still being able to throw kicks, which to them is a long range weapon. Yeah. We can throw that's like somebody firing a bazooka at you at point blank range. Right? Or somebody shooting a bow and arrow and you're right here. They're like, no, we're used to seeing it from this far away. Right? And long range weapon in a close range position is something that oftentimes catches people off guard.
That's cool. I would love to see their faces during these matches because they're probably like, what is going on?
I shouldn't do that. I'll show you some videos. if it's in my phone, it might be in my computer. So that will be, that's what I've observed, that the really advanced Muay Thai guys, they would incorporate kicking techniques from other arts. And Taekwondo is, because our kicking is the most developed. I think
we have the coolest kicks, just to throw it out there. For sure.
there's some of the guys that I've trained with, the guy that I train with the most often, some of the guys here in Apple Valley, they've, I consult with them a lot on their grappling and their Muay Thai, and we trade knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I often trade with them the most are obviously the kicks, right? And the back kick in particular. Yeah. The back kick contribution to Muay Thai, I think, has been their biggest thing that I started noticing they incorporate.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
They throw it. I know this because they throw it and they look at me. but one of the coaches there would actually just brag to me sometimes, like, "Hey, I did a Taekwondo thing today. I did a Taekwondo thing last night in MMA." I was like, "My dog." Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're the Taekwondo guy.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's not me speaking out of just guesswork. Like, I've seen that come to life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what they've contributed to what I've been able to pass on to students is tremendous. And then as far as Muay Thai, yeah, just more Taekwondo style kicks. There's context that can be used. Even the sportive style, whether it's old school Taekwondo kicks or sportive style, sportive approach to the way they do their side kicks, low kicks, I think can work well in a Muay Thai context.
Nice. I see that a lot. Honestly, that'd be way more exciting, and I'd feel more comfortable taking a Muay Thai class knowing that, because I got my butt kicked.
Yeah.
I definitely want to go back, but
Yeah, that, you want to turn Taekwondo black belt to a red, or just punch him in the face.
yeah, we'll get started.
Turn him back to a brown belt, punch him twice. Yeah, just pop. That's it.
Okay. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
This has been awesome. Is there any last words you want to say about Taekwondo, how other styles can be incorporated, or just anything at all about the start of the podcast, the new journey, anything?
I think it's very easy to resort to tribalism, to resort to I identify as a certain type of person. And because of that, it's very easy to look at the group that you belong to as the group and everybody else as the other, the one to be hated, the one to be despised, or at least the one to be avoided or looked down upon. And Taekwondo is not immune to that. You know, this is why we're having this conversation: the old school versus new school, sportive versus self-defense versus traditional, all these things. And I think that if for anybody that wants to choose Taekwondo as the martial arts to start with, I think it's less important about the art and more important about the instructor or the school or the community that you go into and you feel like you belong, right? If you feel like you belong to that community and you feel like it's healthy for your development, I think it doesn't matter if it's sport, doesn't matter if it's self-defense, doesn't matter if they're hybridized like ours. We're a little weird. But if you feel like this community benefits you in some way, that's what you want to stick with. And whatever martial arts they happen to do, if when you're further along and developed and you have the maturity to be able to realize that, hey, this is enough for me and I don't want any more, or, I like to fill in other gaps that I know I'm missing, then, it's healthy to do exactly that. It's not good for business for me to tell other students to, when they express interest in other arts, to tell them yes. But that's exactly what I do. Other students have told me, hey, Master Lee, once I'm done with my black belt, I'm looking to do BJJ. And I'm like, dude, I love it. Let me recommend you a place. I would actually recommend the places. I would actually do that. Because I know how much that benefited me. Mm-hmm. For me to imagine that everybody that goes into the school is gonna stay, that's odd. Besides me and Master Tuan, we're the weird ones. We decide to stay here and make this like the pursuit. For everybody else, you should expect everybody to leave. If a parent expects their kid to just stay in the house forever and ever and ever, like, that's not a thing in America.
Yeah.
Right? You shouldn't expect your students to fully commit to just one particular sport that they grew up with. Let them explore, let them fall in love, right? And if they love this sport, they love this art, they can freely explore other things and still love this sport. still love this art. If they're anything like me, they will continue to love Taekwondo, and whether they practice it with us or practice it, in the town that they establish for themselves when they go to college or whatever it is, and while still exploring other things, I think that's healthy. I would encourage people to cross train. I really would.
That's awesome. Nice. We love that. Well, thanks again. We'll hopefully have you on for another episode down the road. And yeah.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Nice.